If you have school-age children and you're working from home, you're learning all kinds of lessons about parenting in a pandemic. And you're probably wondering when normal school service will resume. Well, it's slowly happening. Quebec was the first province to announce primary schools and daycares will begin to reopen on May 11th, though attendance will not be mandatory.
We think that anyway, in 6 months, there's no proof that we will have a vaccine in 6 months. So we'll be in the same situation as today.
But next door in Ontario, Premier Doug Ford says it's too soon.
We got to protect our children. The children can't protect themselves. They rely on us to make a decision. And no one wants to put our children in harm's way. And I'm just not willing to chance it.
The messaging is confusing. There are 5.6 million elementary and secondary school students in Canada. As Michael Couteur explains, they and their parents are tired and bored and are left wondering, what is the right thing to do?
So I have a call at 1, but I don't need my computer for it.
Here's a contemporary twist on a classic math problem. Sarah Sims and David Hertel have 3 kids and 3 laptops between them, but 5 people who need a digital device to work at home. So, how do they get it all done?
Right after this, we've got online guitar lessons that are happening at the same time as a scheduled meeting with one of our kids' classes. So I actually don't know what we're going to do yet, but I think we will probably end up giving up one of our work computers for half an hour.
Some schools have been able to distribute laptops to students during the lockdown for their homework. Helpful, perhaps, but many parents are discovering they simply don't have the bandwidth to do their own job from home and be teachers, especially in certain subjects.
I have just flat out said no on helping with algebra or anything to do with measuring, parallelograms or anything.
That's a challenge for Matthew Dotzenroth as he tries to keep his students engaged.
I think there absolutely has to be an understanding that after March 13th, learning looked really different.
The English teacher is reaching out to students one-on-one because it's hard to know how they're doing when you can't read their body language in class on a daily basis. The lesson plans are being adjusted to fit this new reality, and while there are some limitations, there are also new opportunities. The National Film Board of Canada has opened its entire collection to teachers, while the Ripley's Aquarium in Toronto has added webcams to underwater exhibits, allowing students to visit online. And there are other examples of companies being more cooperative during this crisis.
I was talking with another English teacher colleague and said, I don't have a copy of this book, but I want to get it to students. And they emailed the publisher and said, do you mind if I make a digital copy available? I know there's copyright issues, and the publisher sent them a PDF copy by the end of the day and said, don't worry about it.
Bong, 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 bong. Oh, there's the bell.
Giving students some sense of normalcy in these abnormal times is the key. It's forcing educators to adjust.
Good morning, Columbia Park Elementary School.
Like this principal in Revelstoke, BC, who continues to read daily announcements over Twitter. He's added Friday physical distancing dance parties to his repertoire to spice things up. As education experts know, you've got to meet kids where they are, even if it's kilometers away in their homes.
Hey, good afternoon, class.
Now, the mountain biking class, yes, that's an actual thing in BC, is a little different online, with the teacher describing tricks and then doing them on camera. But imagine a shop class where the teacher is used to hovering over his students in an engine bay instead of now talking to them over the web.
We're working on small engines right now, and so we're ramping up a little bit, and we're certainly learning new relevant things.
Now, it's created opportunities for students to learn on their own time at home, but it still lacks that interaction with friends we all expect from school.
You kind of take it for granted that you see everybody every day. So I've been missing that social aspect of school.
So what will school look like in the future? Well, a lot of people are looking to Denmark, which was the first European country to reopen schools, albeit under very different circumstances.
One class is, for example, separated into 3 different classrooms in order to adhere to the social distancing.
Quebec will follow that blueprint when schools there reopen May 11th. Each class will be limited to a maximum of 15 students, with lunch and recess times being staggered to avoid crowds. Attendance will be optional, But still, some parents are leery.
I'm not worried so much about her health. I'm more worried that if the kids are carriers, that they're going to get other people. So our family, our relatives, my father, her grandfather. I'm more concerned about that.
And that concern will remain until there is a vaccine. So is this the new reality of schooling, or is it time for a rethink?
It is causing us already to question what we were doing.
School Superintendent Mike Hooker says one of the silver linings in all of this is the realization that maybe a more flexible learning environment is actually better for students.
Why would you run right from the end of a school day straight into another set of study, as opposed to being able to leave the building or leave the virtual classroom, go get some exercise, have a nutritious snack, take a break, do some things with some friends, and then come back again, and now you're refreshed and ready for some more learning.
There's no question that it's important to return kids to schools because of those interpersonal interactions that shape us during our formative years. But it's possible a hybrid education system of both online and in-person learning will be the new reality, preparing students for a world where working from home is the norm.